Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Round yon virgin, mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild. Sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. It's a peace that we pray for each Sunday when we proclaim together that prayer that Jesus taught us to pray. On earth as it is in heaven. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Can we even imagine in these days in which we live such a peace? This Advent and Christmas season, this classic hymn will travel with us. It will be our guide. It will partner with us in tending and preparing in that active waiting for Christ to be born once again in us and in this world so in need of a life-giving narrative. It'll be a guide for us as we engage this silent night to dive deeper into an invitation. An invitation to helping create calm and following the bright star of our God. As we talked about in our introduction this morning, as we gathered with one another, this is the 200th anniversary of this classic hymn, Silent Night. And in 1914, 4 years short of that 100th anniversary, British and German soldiers were on that front line and they called a truce on Christmas Day. Can you imagine how close their encampments were, fighting with one another, that they could hear each other singing in their own language this hymn about silent night? Can you also imagine the courage it took for one of those soldiers to poke his head out of what they called their mouse holes, wondering if he would be shot? Wondering if this truce was for real, that everyone was really lying down their weapons, putting them down, laying them down. And then another courageous soldier stepped out too, put down their weapons, and they met in the middle. Stories say they played soccer. Other people's stories say they shared cigarettes and small gifts for a moment of calm and bright. A moment of peace. Of course, I was the one in staff meeting when we were engaging this to say, what happened next? Were they able to continue with that? Pastor John, in his wisdom, said, I imagine they had orders to be soldiers once again. But for that moment, can we come back to that moment where there was that calm and that bright and that peace that 100 years later, here we are sharing that story of what it could look like for that silent night, that calm and bright. Humanity, you and me, us, we are that infant child whom God desires a heavenly peace. How might we then bring this calm and that bright into the corners of our world? That corners of our world where we don't have to look that far for the divisiveness, for the rhetoric that tears down instead of builds up and brings together. We are in need of that silent night, that calm and bright, and yet we know practicing calm is a daunting task, and it requires guidance. We, just like the people yearning for God's presence in the social and political context in which Jesus was born, we too are in need of that guiding light for our time. We will sing that threshold song about us being in need of that light to guide us. And just as now the world was torn, but all was calm and all was bright, the star above gave out its light. And here, my beloved congregation, is the good news. God's guidance. In the image, have you noticed the stars? The light? Us playing with this metaphor, if we have eyes to see it. God's peace and joy and love and hope will spread if we claim our agency to receive it, to tend it, and then to pass it on. Like the candles that we light on Christmas Eve, like the candles that we light each Sunday. For light is what makes it possible to follow a path. We are in need of more light in this world. We are in need of more peace within our own hearts, in our communities, our relationships, even here at church. So we need a silent night in here. It's the season of the year we come to celebrate. In all our ways, from different paths we come to be. Yet when we looked around us, we see divisions everywhere. Even friend and family can't agree. There are empty chairs for some around the table now. Loved ones gone. Others just can't seem to find their way. But we lift our hopeful eyes with open hearts and soul and mind, and whatever way we know, and whatever way we pray. We need a silent night in here. We need your presence, O God, to come near. Give us the hope we need and the peace we seek. We need a silent night in here. Now we pray that we can find our share humanity, knowing what affects just one affects us all. When the darkness hides the light, it is the star that shines so bright. With the courage to be the change, lift us up before we fall. We need a silent night in here. We need your presence to come near. Give us the hope we need and the peace we seek. We need a silent night in here. In the silence, renew our sight. Help us see you shining in the night. Still the noise the world can give. We need a silent night in here. We need your presence to come near. Give us the hope we need and the peace we seek. Come and teach us how to live. We need your silent night in here. And so it is. Amen.